Okay, here we go again. Let's start with fit number 7 of Beowulf in this very quick summary. We start with Hrothgar's memory of Beowulf's father. This is Hrothgar's reply after Beowulf has given his beot, his boasting speech, saying all of the great things he's done in the past. Line 460, Hrothgar says, "Thy father's combat a feud enkindled when Herðolaf with his hand he slew among the Wylfings." And so Hrothgar is reminding Beowulf of something that happened a generation earlier. And this is a tie that I had with him, so I helped him out. Okay, so if you help me out, you're kind of repaying that family debt. Straightway the feud with fee I settled, line 470. I mentioned this earlier. This is a policy known as weregild, man money. It's something that has to be paid whenever someone is killed. To the Wylfings I sent o'er watery ridges treasures, olden oaths he swore me. So now that binds Ecgtheow, the father of Beowulf, in a special way. It binds the family to Hrothgar. Fit number 8. So everybody is excited about this great hero, and he's told all the things that he's done before, so maybe there is somebody who can stand up to Grendel. But one of the court of Hrothgar is not quite so positive, and his name is Unferth. His name itself, that UN prefix, in Old English as in Modern English, is a negative prefix, and Ferth means peace. Okay, so Unferth is somebody who works against peace. Okay, so he has what Franklin P. Adams called an aptronym, or what the Greeks called eunomia, a name that tells us something about the character. Unferth spake, son of Ecglaf. That's line 499, the opening line of fit number 8. Excuse me. Caffeine is the only cure for a cough. How do you like that alliteration? Alliteration, the binding poetic technique of Anglo-Saxon verse. "Art thou that Beowulf, Breca's rival," asks Unferth, "who emulous swam on the open sea when for pride of the pair you proved the floods, and wantonly dared in waters deep to risk your lives? What a stupid thing to do, you kids." Not only that, but I heard that Breca beat you, line 523. "In triumph o'er the Beanstan's bairn," Breca was the son of Beanstan, "his boast achieved." How does Beowulf respond to that? How do you respond to that if you're a guest in the king's hall and one of the king's retainers calls you a liar and a wimp? How do you respond to that? Beowulf is caught in the middle. He needs to be polite, right? Because he's in the somebody else has essentially issued a challenge to his manhood, but he can't respond the way he wants to respond, perhaps. So very diplomatically, he says, line 531. "What a deal thou hast uttered, my dear Unferth, drunken with beer," which might be the translation of that phrase. It's a single half line in Old English. "Beer getrunken," which simply means having drunk beer. Sometimes we forget that the English word drunk originally was just the past participle of the verb, having had a drink. Okay. But from what we learn about the comitatus relationship, and we'll still continue doing this, remember, what was the purpose of the mead hall? The mead hall was for drinking, for feasting, right? To drink mead or drink beer, or drink wine. Actually, all three drinks are mentioned as having been consumed in Herod. There's no mention of White Russians. I think that's the Big Lebowski you're thinking of. But beer and ale and wine, and so it is. But it's part the drinking is a part of the comitatus relationship because it's a feast. The king gives back the material wealth of the kingdom in gold, but also in feasting. Okay, and that there's a mutuality there because it isn't just drinking, but drinking has a social function, as we still have remnants of that in drinking a pledge, drinking a toast. It's the way that the comitatus relationship is solidified in the days before contracts. It's a form of contract. It's a formal, you drink and make a promise. That is what you owe to the king. Okay, so that might be another element to what Beowulf is saying here. He's saying, okay, you have drunk the beer. When you drink the beer, you make a pledge to protect the king. Why am I here if you are such a great thane to King Hrothgar? Why do I even need to be here if you drunk the pledge and Grendel is still walking and you're still walking? I'm just saying, that's what Beowulf says. And then he responds more specifically to the charges. Truth I claim at line 532, that I had more of might in the sea than any man else. I did beat Breca. Not only that, I killed some water monsters at the time, 553. There grasped me firm and haled me to bottom the hated foe with grimmest grip. These monsters dragged me to the bottom of the sea. 'Twas granted me, though, to pierce the monster with point of sword, but I killed him with a sword. So I was swimming in full armor with a sword and killed a lot of monsters. Okay, and I still ended up beating Breca in the swimming contest. Okay, so don't give me any of this Unferth. And then he turns back to Unferth and he finishes up the implication of having drunk the pledge. Line 582. No wise of thee have I heard men tell such terror of falchion's bitter battle. I don't remember any stories about you beating anybody with a sword. Except, he says, and then he adds this, line 587. Though thou wast the bane of thy brethren dear. That archaic word bane we don't use very much anymore except in a kind of a general abstract sense of that's the bane of my existence. It shows up in that phrase. But literally, bane means the killer. Okay. You were the killer of your brother. Who else killed his brother in the past? Ah, yes, Cain, who's already been mentioned. So that brother murder, that killing of relatives, is the source of human evil. And reduces you to the monster status of Grendel, okay, the descendant of Cain. And you yourself were the bane of your brethren dear, thy closest kin. Whence, from that act, curse of hell awaits thee, well as thy wit may serve. Okay, so yeah, you might make some nice witty comments at my expense, but you're going to hell for killing your brother. Then Whalefail comes. The queen, the lovely queen, and we get some description of her in line 612 and following. And what's her job? Line 620 and following. Through the hall then went the helming's lady, to younger and older everywhere carried the cup, till came the moment when the ring-graced queen, the royal-hearted, to Beowulf bore the beaker of mead. Okay. So she's pouring the drinks. Okay. Sounds like a pretty, and there's a great deal of speculation on this, right? Because there's few female characters in Beowulf and in heroic literature in general. It's a very masculine world, and so it's easy to kind of do a kind of a first-generation feminist reading of this and say, well, sure, her only function is to be the hostess with the mostess, to pour the drinks. Okay, that's all that women do in this society. But a great essay by Jane Chance about 20 years ago. It's called The Structural structural unity of Beowulf. And it points out that, in fact, what does it mean to pour out the drinks? That's exactly what the comitantus relationship is all about. So far from simply being a hostess, she is doing what, in fact, the monarch is supposed to do. The king's job is to give out treasures and booze. Okay, and that's exactly what she does here. So she takes a personal part in it. It also gives Beowulf a chance to renew his solemn pledge. Line 637, I am firm to do an earl's brave deed, or end the days of this life of mine in the mead hall here. Well, these words to the woman seemed, Beowulf's battle boast. So if it seems well to her, then the Baal to the boast must be a good thing. Okay. Again, thanks for your patience. We will continue this with Fit number X, Fit 10, starting with line 663 in our next exciting episode. God bless you.